Australia is a remarkable land home to many stunning yet terrifying animals. Certain species are unique to Australia and are not found anyplace else in the world. An Australian teenage girl is the subject of this tale. Something strange was hiding in her ceiling, she realized. She prodded it when her curiosity began to grow. Perhaps she ought not to have done it. Australian youngster Zane Blaxland resides in Brisbane, Queensland. Zane was unwinding at her house one day when she heard some odd noises. These were loud scratches and screaming noises, the type of noises you don't ignore. You couldn't sleep or unwind because of how loud the noises were. The cacophony was so terrifying, it was almost as if she had landed in her own horror film. When Zane could take the cacophony no longer, he got up to see what was producing these awful noises. Welcome to USA Stories Channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Stories of animals unexpectedly settling in people's homes are nothing new in Australia. Numerous accounts exist of frightening and untamed animal encounters that took place inside someone's home. These creatures are often spiders, snakes, and alligators. It's almost as if living in Australia involves occasionally having unexpected visits from wild animals. This time, the story revolves on a different animal that has enormous, clearly visible claws that resemble those from a horror film. Imagine discovering a hairy, eerie claw protruding from your ceiling as you walk up to the attic to investigate the disturbance that is keeping you from sleeping. It seems very unsettling, don't you think? It would terrify me. Not so much with Zane. She panicked, of course, and nearly had to dash to the bathroom, but she calmed down and began prodding the animal. She then understood what it may be. As expected, the creature began to protrude its snout through the opening. Living in Australia means you should always be ready to deal with the occasional visit from snakes, alligators, and spiders in your house. The nation is well known for its unexpected animal encounters, when animals break into homes without your knowledge. Before being discovered, certain animals may reside in dwellings for several days. When Zane saw that the creature was a possum, her anxiety subsided. Possums have long resided in the ceiling of her family's home. She was completely unprepared for its claw, especially given the frightening noises and the encounter, which makes perfect sense. You would also be extremely afraid if you discovered something similar protruding from your ceiling. What frightened Zane was that the possum had managed to bite a hole in the ceiling and put its claw out. She said that because it was situated directly over her bedroom, she had previously heard possums making noise. Since possums are nocturnal animals, ceilings are presumably another place they might be discovered. During the day, that appears like the ideal spot for a nocturnal creature to hang out, especially when the owners of the house start feeding you luscious banana chunks. There is perpetual darkness between the ceilings. Up there in the gloom of Zane's ceiling, it appears to be growing cozy. Making friends with the possum that was living in her roof, Zane decided to share her experience on TikTok. She began to get fond of the creature that had taken up residence in her ceiling. She even called it Pepper. She would record her attempts to become friends with the possum day by day. She would record herself giving her hairy companion banana bits, and day by day she appeared to get greater interest from viewers of her films. He would make a hole in the ceiling and the possum would poke its nose through it to smell the banana hanging in front of him. The possum began nibbling on the banana after realizing it was a tasty meal. After recording herself feeding the possum, Zane became popular on TikTok, receiving millions of views and likes. People adore seeing a happy possum. The animals are often disliked by people. They are perceived as frightening or bothersome, and they do not appear to be scared of people. Zane gets along well with the possum most of the time, but occasionally, when she approaches the ceiling, the possum hisses at her. It's wise to maintain a safe distance between yourself and a wild animal at all times since, after all, it's still a wild animal and its behaviors and behavior can't always be foreseen. Zane discovered her possum companion had a large claw when she began to record it one day. Because she continued to give the possum bananas and other food, she kind of freaked out again and believed that she had produced a monster. It appeared to have expanded significantly. The possum poked its claw through the opening on this particular day, and Zane was surprised by how large it was. According to Zane, living in Australia comes with the inevitable encounters with wild creatures. You never know when animals will show up at your place. She also believes that there are many animals living in her ceiling since she hears their screams and howling during fights at night. Particularly if you're laying in bed alone at 2 in the morning, those are sounds you'd prefer not to hear. It's during those times that you may have frightening ideas, and things may turn quite frightening. Fortunately, though, Zane knew what was going on over her head. She could stay cool and have a peaceful night's sleep. In the end, nobody was harmed. Thankfully, the reverse occurred, and a lovely relationship developed. On her TikTok profile, Zane updates everyone on her relationship with her new hairy companion. You may visit Zane's TikTok to see how they're both doing if you're interested. In a different tale, a family discovered what was residing in their attic and became extremely afraid for their life. At first, they believed it to be something different, something less dangerous than what it actually was. The wisest course of action, then, is to take things slow and proceed with extreme caution if you come across something enigmatic and are still unsure of what you're dealing with. In some cases, exercising caution can save your life. It's definitely better to avoid allowing an ambiguous scenario to spiral out of control, particularly if you believe you are working with animals. In Florida, USA, the Vander Herschen family resided. It's where mother, father, and son have been residing for some time. The family has spent a few years residing close to the woods. They had recently learned that there had been nocturnal activities taking on in their attic. In the attic, they began to hear strange noises and muffled voices. The family's father neglected to investigate what was causing all of the noise, so it continued for months. The mother and son deduced that the creatures in the attic had to be bees. The father gave them his word that it was not going to happen. The father, Bob, had a business that offered the service of removing bees from residences. He then placed them in a secure, natural area. He had to undergo training and learn everything there was to know about bees in order to maintain a business like that. Knowing this, he could be certain that his attic was clear of drones and queens. He didn't want to go up and inspect the attic for that reason. He claimed to his spouse that they were only mice or something like. Bob claimed he was pressed for time and was unable to climb up to the attic and remove them. His wife was afraid to go up to the attic by herself as a result. The fact that the attic was just over their son's bedroom only served to heighten his fear. The youngster heard a disturbance one night and went up to the attic, deciding to have a look. He did not see bees or mice. Rather, the child discovered an enormous snake. He felt both terrified and shocked. He informed his mother about the awful visitor he had discovered in the attic right away. The family was too terrified to stay in the house after that. Upon eventually plunging into the attic, Bob was greeted by the enormous visitor who had been residing there without paying rent. He even succeeded in filming the enormous snake. The family phoned animal control when they had recovered from their fright. Animal control was unable to approach the snake since it had moved away from the ceiling opening by the time they arrived. The animal control officer was able to get a sight of the reptile during the fruitless chase. He had enough visuals of the snake to recognize it. He revealed to the family that a sizable rattlesnake was residing in their attic. The lethal venom of rattlesnakes is well known. These beasts are extremely hazardous. The guy told the family that the snake was hidden in the attic and may attack anyone it saw. Therefore, it was too risky for him to catch it. The father intended to protect both his own life and the family. Aware of the lethal nature of the plant's poison, it seemed like the family would never find someone willing to assist them. Not even their courageous nephew appeared to be as fearless as before. They looked for someone who could assist them, and then they recalled seeing someone on their friend's Facebook who appeared to be the ideal candidate. His name is Mark Lampard. He frequently uploaded photos of himself holding or lying next to the most ferocious animals. His expertise and case experience might be a huge asset to the family. Mark consented to assist them. He looked in the attic for the snake for several hours. He looked about for a while before coming upon a sizable chunk of snakeskin, indicating that the snake had been residing there for some time. When he did locate the snake in the attic, he quickly grabbed its tail and hauled it out. The snake was wrongly labeled as a rattlesnake by animal control. Fortunately, it turned out to be a far less deadly rainbow boa. Thank heavens for being creatures that suffocate their prey rather than injecting them with poison. The family could now live in harmony once more. The animal in this instance proved to be an amiable snake, but what if that wasn't the case? If you discovered something living in your ceiling, how would you respond? Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.